This is Priyanka Sarkar, and welcome to the Sports Soul, a space where we explore the real stories and emotions behind strength in sports and in life.
Adolescence is always considered a phase. It's just not a phase, it's a bridge between teenage and adulthood. But everyone who has worked with teenagers know that it is something beyond a phase. It is a stage where there are comparisons, there are hormonal changes, there are societal expectations, there are academic pressures, there are friendships, there are confusions, there are relationship issues, and there are questions about self-worth. And the constant question that keeps rolling in their mind is, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to become? We talk a lot about what happens in childhood. We talk a lot about what happens in adulthood. We talk a lot about academics. We talk a lot about grades. But we do not talk about what happens before they become high performers in sports or in life. And for many adolescents, a report card feels like a performance evaluation. Parent-teacher meeting feels like a judgment day, and a classroom feels like a battleground. And in a world where everything is visible, posted, judged, shared, and compared, teenagers are carrying pressures that no one has seen, nobody speaks about. And my guest today, Pooja, works with adolescents every day. She sits with the tears that are unseen. She sits with stories that are unspoken, and she deals with all of this behind academic excellence, self-doubt behind high achievement, and the quiet anxiety between I am fine. Today, I want to understand from Pooja how adolescence mental health operates. Pooja, thank you for gracing another episode with me here. I want to understand something very basic first. What is the age group that we can categorize someone as an adolescent?
First of all, Priyanka, thank you for having me again here on this episode. And so talking about the age, it's now I think saying from 10 to 19 would be appropriate. But again, there are some researchers or psychologists, I would say, they even extended to 24 because the brain development is still happening. There are a lot of changes that they are still going into. So yeah, and I must appreciate the introduction that you gave that covered almost every aspect of an adolescent's life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what makes this stage or phase complex?
Like you've already mentioned, the identity confusion that is around that age. And then they are trying to discover a lot of things.
Yeah.
They are curious. They want to learn. They want to know a lot about the world, about themselves. There are a lot of restrictions imposed on them at the time when they are looking for freedom.
Yeah.
And then biologically, there are these hormonal shifts happening. There are these electric, connections being formed and broken at the same time, because this is the phase when, so I'll tell you this, there are these different areas in our brain that have different functions. So the part that regulates your risk-taking behaviors and reward behaviors and all, those grow faster than impulse control or rational decision making, whatever area surrounds that, it grows later on. So because of that, it becomes more complex because their decisions are impulsive.
Yeah.
And they do not understand the rationale.
Yeah.
It's not that they do not want to. It's just how their biology is, the chemicals that are going around in the body. But again, other than that, the social aspects around that center the adolescent, the kind of family that they belong to, the kind of peers they have, the kind of school they go to, the kind of hobbies that they have, the kind of sports they want to be a part of, the way they want to be seen, the way they are right now. So, there are these expectations that surround them. That is the time when parents and teachers or coaches, they also start putting a pressure on them that this is what you have to become. Now is the age. You have to be molded. So the pressure of wanting to be molded into something that everyone else wants, while trying to retain their own identity, or not even retain, trying to build something of their own, there's a lot of clash going on biologically, socially, psychologically. That is something that makes this whole phase so complex.
So, how do these show up as common emotional challenges pertaining to identity and academic pressure?
First of all, that relationship that you're trying to draw, that's something that our education system has taught our children and parents to base their identity on. The relationship between academics
excellence
and self-worth.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. So if I'm a good performer, if my report cards say A+, I have a good self-esteem, I'm worthy of all the love that might be receiving. If not, if someone else has that, I do not have it, I am not worthy at all. And that does not affect just the academic competence or academic worth. It decides or regulates their whole life. I am not good at all. And like I told you, the rationale is not yet fully developed. So this overgeneralization happens, that I'm not good at this. And then they're also told that, you're not able to fulfill this expectation also. You're supposed to perform good. And we forget in that, whole race that everyone has different capacities. And these adolescents from maybe, 10 years old, 12 years old, 15, 19, they're trying to do their best. Or even if not, maybe someone is not very good at academics. But since the whole idea of our education system surrounds academic competence, they tie it to their self-worth.
So, what are the stress patterns or mental health trends you notice with students in these environments?
Right. So, I myself have seen students, they come to me saying that, Mom, I'm trying my best. I don't know, what do I do more? The moment I sit in the exam, I forget it. I forget everything. That's something that, you want to answer immediately, saying that, oh, it is just exam related stress, or it's just stress that making you memory blurry. But it's not just that. It's the pressure or the expectation behind it to perform better than someone else, or to, stand on someone's expectations, be it parents or teachers or anyone. So these children, their little minds and hearts, they're trying to take in as much as they can, but it is costing them their mental peace. They do not know where to put a full stop in that relationship that we are talking in. It hampers their whole psychological health itself. And that in turn affects the way they function. Be it academically, be it in their, other fields of competence.
So, may I ask, how well do schools support student well-being, and what role does a school counselor act in these kind of environments?
Right. So, wonderful question, because, school counselors are the ones that right now, some of the educational setups, some of our boards have made it mandatory to have counselors in the school, which is a wonderful decision that was taken. It was way back. It took some time for it to be implemented, but then school counselors, the role that they are supposed to play is of emotional supporters on preventive as well as treatment and management part. I am very sorry to say this, that it might not be happening on a standard that it was expected to be.
Because a school counselor is right now very explicitly handling admissions, administrative work, if I may say so. We have had schools and educational institutions where we have a school counselor. We go and she says, what do you want? I have heard instances the school counselor is handling administrative work. With all due respect to what they're supposed to be doing and the immense support they can offer, but they're being confined to administrative work. With all due respect to all the educational institutions which hire counselors across the globe, they are being confined. The school counselor must have been well equipped with what she or he has to be doing, supposed to be doing, but they're confined. So we cannot call it a failure of the school or the counselor.
It's a whole system.
It's a systematic
and it's
failure.
the whole idea of importance that
Yeah.
you give to the psychological health.
Yeah.
It's the idea that the whole society is living on, that marks give you career,
Yeah.
and that's when you are going to live a happy life. So in the idea of preparing for future, we are forgetting that we are barely preparing them just
For
for
the-
a career,
Yeah.
maybe competitions.
Yeah.
But future is not just about a career or competitions that they're going to face. It is also about a family they might be raising. It is also about the emotional challenges that they might be
Yes.
coming across. So a school counselor's role is very, very significant when it comes to school settings. I send my students personally when I come across some of their problems, which in the being in position of teacher, ethically I should not be handling. I forward them to the counselors. And for that also, I have to convince them, their parents,
Yeah.
the teachers, because it's the necessity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, the need to be convincing
Yes. Yes.
someone, even the students themselves, because or many a times the students do not even want the parents or
Yeah,
teachers to
to
be
know.
knowing
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're opting for this help.
Yeah.
So the shame or the stigma that surrounds it, that is something that we all together need to work around, and that is not something that new that I'm telling here.
Yeah.
You all
yeah,
know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Other than all the kind of works that you mentioned that counselors and
Mhm.
different education settings might be involved into, the ratio is very,
Yes,
very high.
Yes, the demand supply ratio. Yeah.
Is very, very high. So, hundreds of students is to one counselor.
Yeah.
That's how it looks. And counseling is something that requires a lot of emotional
Yeah,
energy. It
yeah,
is
yeah.
very, very tiring to take in, absorb
Very true,
someone's
very true,
emotion.
yeah.
So in a day, even if a counselor, and every counseling session is nothing less than an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might even extend to 2 hours if the student is too comfortable or is really wanting to share or is in the middle of sharing something overwhelming. So in those times, we have to consider that, they're also humans.
Yeah.
They also have a limited capacity. So if we really want to help our students, this ratio needs to be more balanced.
Yeah.
And they need to be allowed, the counselors need to be allowed to emotionally support the students.
Yes.
And not just in forms of counseling, but also in forms of awareness.
Yes.
They should be allowed to, there are schools that are already doing this. In fact, CBSE board also has come up with a plan that they should go to the classes, take group sessions and all. So, some amount of psychological awareness, if you're able to just create that. I, as a psychology teacher and a counselor, not in school setting, of course, but I know its importance and I try to incorporate those in my students. When counselors go around in the classes, many times, students come to me and when I tell them that we should approach the school counselor for this, they tell me, Ma'am, do we have one? And I'm very surprised that, they should know that they have that facility.
Yeah.
And then they should know that they can approach that person.
Yeah.
And that trust should not be built only in that one four-walled room, but it should be built in a way that they can approach him or her anywhere, that, this is the person in any kind of psychological issues, I should be going to them and I know that I can trust them.
Yeah.
So that's the role of a counselor, and it is very, very important one. So it's not only the counselor who needs to realize it, it's all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
So you say about awareness. Now let's say they do not know whether they are burnt out or they're anxious or they're stressed. Students do not know about it. They do not know whether it's an imposter syndrome as well, because these are the common things that show up in this age group. How do these affect these kids of this age group even before they enter college or career paths? How do they know that even they are burnt out or they're anxious or they're having imposter syndrome? How do you do this? How do we handle this?
Self-diagnosis
Oh my God. Yeah.
Scary,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not just physical.
Mm-hmm.
I come across every second student telling me
They're depressed.
they're depressed.
Yeah.
Some even came with, you know, very, very weird clinical diagnosis that is not clinical.
Mm.
And, you know, some even doubted that they might have schizophrenia because they doubted they have delusions and all, which is not true.
Yeah.
It's not clinical. Thanks to Google, thanks to social media, and imposter syndrome is something that I got to know from my students, you know, the term.
Mm.
I knew something like this could happen, but I thought it's about self-esteem and all those things. But this term imposter syndrome, I got to know from one of my students that I think I have imposter syndrome. Like, what is that? What do you mean by that? Like, you know, this is the meaning and this is how I feel. Okay.
I'm as surprised as you are.
Exactly. So, you know, like you said, it was very, very surprising for me also. These kids are doing so much at once. And adolescence itself is a very, very stressful stage.
Yeah.
It is different for all of us. Okay. Everyone is exploring, trying. And in between that, they have these academic loads. They have their other duties and expectations to fulfill. And nowadays, there's this profile building going on so that they can get into the best colleges, because that's how they're told that, you know, your life is set once you do that. So this profile building demands you, the adolescent or the child, to get into a lot of things, multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
And multitasking is burning them out.
Yeah.
But how do they understand burnout? You know, there is this, Hans Selye gave this model of stress. It's called GAS, okay, General Adaptation Syndrome. So it has these 3 stages of stress. That is, first is alarm stage, then is reaction, and then comes the burnout stage, exhaustion. So alarm stage is when, you know, the alarm is ringing that, you know, there's something wrong. The body is giving you feedback. And if you have if you have resistance that is enough to deal with it, you push it off from there itself. Children are able to do that, or I should call them adolescents. Adolescents are able to do it at some points. For example, it's just a small test. They get anxious, of course. It's because preparedness is never enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So they are maybe, you know, some of them are able to deal with it, but there are some who are not able to deal with it. It goes to the next stage, the resistance stage. So, you know, they're trying to resist it, but when it is not working, there comes a point where you're exhausted of your all kinds of resources that were available. That's when it is burnout. So you ask the question, right? How do you know?
Yeah.
When you know you're nothing left with, when you feel like, you know, when the helplessness seeps in and you do not know how to act, what to do to get things back on place. That's when burnout is.
Now, I want to ask you something. You know, everything is dependent upon how they cope. When there's a body raising alarm, when it's resisting, and when it's giving up due to helplessness. So, is there any link between the coping skills of an adolescent that they develop now that helps them in future handling pressures?
Yes. So, you know, here there are different kinds of factors that play a role. For example, when they're part of a school, there's a culture at school. When they're part of course, they're part of a family. There's a culture there. There's a peer. In all the 3 spaces, they have different kinds of responsibilities and they have different kinds of patterns of behavior and different kinds of supports that are available. And they all have their own roles to play. Now, when we talk about that, when there are challenges, 3 of these fronts play a very significant role. And from all the fronts, the kind of support that they're getting decides the way they're going to cope. Either they can avoid it or they can face it. Right? Or they can maybe even follow a midway, emotional focused pathway where, you know, they just release it. They not really solve the problem, but they're not also avoiding it. They're just acknowledging it maybe. You know, now these are just patterns that I'm talking about. But here, I'll just go towards one step forward talking about the solutions. Okay, if a child is coming from a family, an adolescent is coming from a family where problems have always been discussed openly.
Yeah.
That adolescent will learn that this is how we deal with problems, right? And going ahead, when it's happening, the same thing. If you remember in the previous episode, we talked about how children should be involved in the financial decisions also, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, they learn from the family itself.
Yes.
Same with the peer group, the kind of peer group they're selecting first. It depends to some extent from the kind of family that they're coming from. It may be in, alike the family culture, or it might completely be opposite.
Yeah.
Right? It's of course the what they want from life based on that. But the kind of friends that surround them, how supportive are they? Or are they comparing them with someone when it's the downtime? Ki bhai, I was able to do it, why are you not able to do it?
Yeah.
You are weak. They learn that. And that's where, imposter syndrome comes in. That when they hear it from different spaces, from school, maybe a teacher is telling them continuously, you're no good. That's why, in our schools, this labeling is something that schools have tried to keep off.
Yeah.
From the teacher's end or from anyone's end, that you should not label the child that you're not going to do anything in life or you're unworthy of anything, because they carry it with them. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. That's where low self-esteem comes in. That's where their feeling of lack of worth comes in.
Now all this is happening. This is it. In spite of all the conversations one might have, these things happen. Stress, burnout, imposter syndrome, anxiety, they are a constant presence in an adolescent life, any adolescent life in whatever form. In our sports, as a sports psychologist, we also talk about mental recovery and emotional regulation. I just want to know, because I do not know yet, is there a system of mental recovery and emotional regulation in this space, education system, or how do you think it is a possibility that we can adapt the ideas of mental recovery and emotional regulation into the academic system for the adolescents?
Oh, yes. In fact, not only adolescents, in the whole academic system, this is something that could be very, very helpful. In fact, myself being a basketball player and an athlete my whole life, I know the importance of these breaks that we are talking about, because, be it physical or mental, there is a state of exhaustion that you reach when your body just gives up or would want to give up. And that is the time. In fact, before you reach that time, we should be managing things in a way that you bring in those breaks. So just like a person on ground or someone who is, into fitness and all, continuously working out or, maybe preparing for a match or something, they should take in these breaks so that their body has time to absorb everything. In the same way, the way our mental connections are built in. How, just like in sports, when adolescents are into academics, whenever they are making a plan or timetable or something like that, there should be regular breaks. Okay. So within classes also, the classes are supposed to be of a certain time, and then there are breaks in between for a reason. Again, how much are they being consumed, and in what ways that make a difference? So, for example, our adolescents are using it in a way that, the moment you say that it's a break for me, you close the book and then you're scrolling. That's not a healthy break. So yes, breaks are very, very important. In fact, after maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes also, you do not have to complete the cycle of attention of 45 minutes. You can just, rather than reaching at the last extreme point, maybe 20 minutes, take a good break, and then you refresh and restart again. But in that break, what you do is going to be very, very important. Yes. So yes, this mental resilience that you build with the support of people around, and by extending your limits a little bit, setting reasonable goals, and not only the smart goals, but also I think we have had a discussion about this before also. So something that comes out of you, right? you have a reason to do something. So, you push yourself a little bit, but that should be you doing out of your own motivation, not out of fulfilling some unrealistic expectations. When adolescents are able to do that, it builds mental resilience, and it's very, very similar to how it happens in the sports field.
Yeah. So if you have to give reminders or practical tips to parents, or educators to keep a check on the mental health of teenagers or adolescents, because studies are not quite on the happier side because about mental health in adolescents. The numbers are grave. There are suicides happening as we talk for the smallest of the reasons, like mommy did not give me a cell phone, I'll throw myself from the floor. I did not attend the school and I was caught, let me kill myself. So what practical tips can you give parents and educators?
I mentioned it in the last conversation also that we had. We need to create an open space and where they feel accepted and heard. Because, nowadays I hear every other parent saying that, oh, I'm very, very friendly with my child.
Yeah.
And in my meetings with the parent, I hear something, but when the child comes and talks to me, it's a different story.
Yeah.
That, no, this is how my mother responds to when I say something to them, or this is how my father responds to, and they just shun it away, saying that, oh, we also have faced it, you cannot handle this much also. We might have to stop that.
Yeah.
Or, all it needs is just acknowledgement. Many times, parents might not even understand that this is what the child is going through. At that time, all you need to do is just acknowledge that, okay, fine, you must be feeling something.
Yeah.
Or maybe, oh, I understand it might be feeling heavy. Do you want to talk about it? Can I just sit here with you? You can always discuss with me. And after listening, your job doesn't get over there as a parent.
That's where it starts.
And as taxing it might be already as a parent, we can make it simpler by being more open to each other in conversations. Because, when you try to put pressure on these adolescents, they are like springs.
Yeah.
It's going to burst. It's going to, fire back.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to control them, help them understand what healthy boundaries look like. And that will happen when you create it.
Yeah.
When then only they will see you, model you. And when maybe when they share something with you, you create that safe space for them. You hear them, acknowledge them. That's when they learn that this is how you deal with some problems.
Let's say not every parent can do that because of their own upbringing or of their own various environmental upbringing, whatever reasons it might be. So if there is any adolescent watching this, and if they're feeling overwhelmed, if they're feeling unheard or unseen or anything, what would you like to tell them directly?
I understand that in this fast moving world, your parent might be busy, but you always have at least one trusted adult, one trusted friend. Like Priyanka already mentioned about, how we lose hope for what we call little things. Those might be big for you, and it is okay. It should be acknowledged. You deserve to be acknowledged. So have a circle around that acknowledges that. And if not, the support that is available around you, it's always closer than it appears. All you need to do is reach out. And it's a brave thing to ask, to call out for help when you feel that, you are feeling lonely or unseen or unheard, or, when you feel that your emotions are something that you're not able to handle or manage. That's the time you reach out. Even if your parents are not there, there must be someone. So just reach out once.
I want to end it on something, a different note altogether. So your presence is powerful than the pressure you're handling. Right now, it might feel that, you're under pressure. But trust me, we all understand that adolescence is messy. But one day when you look back, we all would like you to have some beautiful memories of that adolescent stage. That's the stage when you have your first crush. That's when you That's a stage when you must have gotten your first memorable birthday gift, or something like your favorite teacher must have praised you. Your father must have given you a beautiful present. Your mother must have given you something. Your neighbor must have appreciated for what skill you have. This all happens in that adolescent stage. And it is very important for us to understand that this phase is not messy, but this is a transition. And when I say that, I also want to tell the parents and coaches or educators that as much as you are trying to understand them, the adolescent child or teenager is trying to understand themselves. So give them the space. They're trying to ask themselves, who am I? Am I enough? Am I good? Or will I be even loved if I am not perfect? We'll try to look at marks. We try to look at grades. We like to look at medals. We try to look at everything that gives us external gratification. But ask them, whatever they're trying to do gives them inner satisfaction. As long as, if you are an adolescent listening to this, and I would like to tell you this, as long as you do something that you would never regret in life and that brings you inner peace and not instant gratification, you are on the right way. The world might rush you, but as long as you are not ready and your heart says, I'm not ready, you do not have to rush yourself. So I was talking about goal settings the other day, and I want to repeat this on record. As long as you set goals that align with your values, even when they're hard to reach, they feel lighter. But when goals that are set in comparison, they feel heavy even when you win them. When you have really powerful and meaningful goals set, your inner peace becomes the validation, and that day applause does not really matter. And your presence is more powerful than the pressure, and you matter more than anything else. Your life matters, your future matters, and more importantly, your present matters. So before any medal, before any grade, before any marks, your mental health matters. And today you might feel low, but it is not a phase. It's an emotional turmoil that you might be going through. But as long as you are still able to wake up the next morning, you're already a winner. On that note, Pooja, thank you so much for gracing. And I would like to thank you for coming again on another episode. And if you have found value in today's episode, please share it with somebody whom you might think might find help or might find it helpful. They might be just brilliant, but they're just wired differently. And until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep choosing growth in your own way at your own pace.